Well, good afternoon or evening or morning or whenever it is you're watching this session. My name is Carmen Scoggins, and I am a high school Spanish teacher in North Carolina in the Appalachian Mountains. I teach Spanish all day, and then I go to our local university, Appalachian State, and I teach a methods class for future language teachers. I'm so happy to be here with you guys. And here's my information. My students, my last name is Scoggins, and so my students call me Scog Dog. So I hope this session finds you well. And I just want to say that I am just so excited for you and for your new language adventure. Or maybe this is a lifelong journey for you already. And so that just makes me so happy, because certainly learning another language or multiple languages is a lifelong endeavor. It has been for me. I started learning Spanish when I was about 14 years old. And now I'm a little bit older. I won't tell you how old I am, but it's just been my passion. And I hope that by you coming to this conference, you're just going to get pumped about what languages can do for your future. So let's get started. These are some things that you can expect to hear in the next few minutes. This says, actually, let me move my photo. I can set language goals for myself. I can chart my own, my progress with the language, and I can reflect in order to move forward. Sometimes we have to look backwards in order to move forward. So those are our goals that we're gonna have for our short time together. Now, I have a question for you. If you've ever had to learn how to do something, we all learned how to ride a bike. So learning a language is kind of like learning to ride a bike. Or maybe you're a skier or snowboarder, so you had to learn how to do that. Or you took swimming lessons, or just anything you had to learn how to do. Maybe you knit or you dance. And so anytime you're starting something as a beginner, you're known as what's a novice learner. And that's how we start out learning a language. Actually, behind me on the wall, you can see some proficiency levels right over here. And we start at the bottom at novice. We don't come out of our mothers knowing how to ride a bike, and we have to learn those skills. So over time and with a lot of practice, of course, we start with training wheels, right? And if you think about learning a language, your teacher, your support network is like the training wheels you have. And then over time and practice and dedication, you're able to take those training wheels off and do more on your own. And so I want you to see building proficiency in language and learning to level up your language as that very process where eventually you get better and better with practice. So I would like for you to keep in mind, this is sort of going to guide us. This is going to be the framework of the next few minutes of our time together. So I call this your path to proficiency. Now, we don't actually begin to develop our language proficiency until much later in life, until we're able to take what we learn in school and use it in real world situations outside the classroom scenario. But we have to start somewhere, otherwise you don't ever get started if you don't start somewhere. So here's my suggestion to you, that first of all, and we're going to talk about this in a minute, that you identify how you learn. Do you understand how you learn best? Because that's going to be important. We're going to talk about setting goals. You participate, you focus. I'm not sure. I don't know if you can tell, I'm at school. I just finished my school day, and we're actually meeting face to face with our students. So you might be learning remotely, you might be learning face to face, but hopefully whatever way you're doing it is working for you. So you participate as much as you can. I'm going to suggest that you monitor what you're able to do with the language. Don't just rely on your teacher to give you all the feedback. Do it for yourself. You're going to help each other out when you need to, and you got to practice. If I'm talking to a group of athletes right here, if you're an athlete or you do anything, if you're a dancer or a musician, you've got to practice a lot. You've got to put a lot of time in, and we'll talk about that in a minute too. And then you've got to reflect. Like I said, sometimes we have to look back in order to be able to move forward. And of course, our goal as teachers is to help you use the language outside of the classroom. So keep this framework in mind. I'm going to sort of break this down into more of a sports analogy, maybe a gaming analogy at times, but if you're an athlete, even if you're not, you'll understand these terms. So we're going to focus on a couple of things, and we'll look at my notes a little bit. So we've got preseason, okay, getting ready to start the season, practices, then there's the big game, and then there's the locker room. What do we do after the game is over? Well, we're going to find out some ideas. Now, remember, this is an analogy for learning language and how you can help yourselves level up your language skills. I know a lot of you are interested in the global syllabi literacy, and hopefully some of these strategies will help you out. Okay, one of the first things I suggest is in preseason, it's like you're preparing for the season to start, you're weight training for athletics, you're carbon up, you're hydrating all the time. And it's going to be the same way when you're learning a language. You're preparing yourselves to learn how to play the game better, how to do the dance better, how to do whatever skill better that it is that you're learning or that you're practicing for. And so if you think of learning a language in those terms, hopefully it makes sense to you. So take what you already know about yourself. You probably by now know what kind of learner you are. So consider that when your teacher gives you different activities. I know that I'm not a good listener. I mean, I'm a good listener, I'm here for you and everything, but when someone tells me something, I have to write it down or I don't remember it well. So maybe that's your learning style. I'm extremely visual right over here. That's me all the way. Some of you might be more hands-on. So whatever your learning style is, try to keep that in mind as you're processing your new language, because understanding how you learn will help in the activities you seek out when learning another language. Also, you know you better than anyone, so take your interest to heart. Maybe you are an avid reader and maybe you want to try to pick up a book in your target language. Even if you think it's a little bit too advanced, that's okay. And just see what you can pick out from that. Maybe you do like to play music, so maybe you want to try to play some music from the target culture, the target language. Just keep your interests in mind as you continue down your language journey or your language path, because that's going to make language learning even more special to you if you can connect it with something that you love and that you're interested in. And that kind of leads us to motivation. What is motivating you to study other languages? Maybe it's just one, or maybe it's multiple languages. What's your motivation? Is it extrinsic? Is it so you'll get into a good college or university, or maybe you'll be more marketable for the job market when you graduate from college? Is it, are you looking for the money because you know that being multilingual is going to give you a leg up in the job market? Or is it more intrinsic? Is it because you just love to learn? You love to be exposed to other cultures and languages? Whatever your motivation is, try to nail that down and think about what your motivation is. My question to you is, what is your why? Okay, think about that. What is your why? Why are you here in the first place? First of all, kudos again, because you showed up to this conference to learn more. So think about that as you're, again, going on your language journey. What is your why? Why are you taking another language? And use that to guide you and to push you even farther and faster. Okay, again, one of the things that I think is really important is that we set some goals for ourselves. You know how every new year you set New Year's resolutions. You might or you might not. I sometimes do. I sometimes don't. But when you're thinking about learning anything new, and definitely learning a language, focus in on what you really want out of the experience. Okay, so you need to make whatever goal you set for yourself. Let's say it's a semester-long class, or you want to achieve the global seal of biliteracy, if that's your ultimate goal, and then you want to go on and study language in college and study abroad, etc. That's awesome. But for each class you take, set one goal for yourself, or maybe two, for the semester or year or however long the course lasts, so that you can really stay focused and you can say, this year I'm going to try to achieve these things, or this semester I'm going to do this. It could be as simple as I work with some people who speak the target language that I'm studying, and I just want to be able to have a conversation with them and ask them how they're doing and just feel part of them, right? That connection to them. So I use the SMART acronym, as many people do. Whatever goal you set for yourself, make sure it's specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. That means that you've got to be able to achieve this within the certain framework of time that you have. And make sure it's relevant to what you are trying to get out of the language learning experience. Okay, so that was preseason, just kind of knowing who we are and setting up our background and making sure that we are true to ourselves as we learn anything new. If I'm a diehard athlete and I want to get better at my skill, my sport, then I have to know myself. I might not get up and want to practice in the morning, but maybe I care enough about that sport to to do that. So think about language in that way. I know that's a bit of a drastic leap to think about learning something academic versus playing a sport, but hopefully you understand what I'm trying to say. You've got to make this a commitment. And here is where that's going to happen. Honestly, with practices, that's where the real learning happens. I think that's where the real growth happens. You know, you can be a great athlete already. The big game is huge because, you know, it might be the championship, or maybe you're playing a video game with somebody and you're out to get that mission and be the top person. All that's important to you, but it's when we practice and when we fail and when we learn from our mistakes that we're going to see the most progress in whatever it is we're trying to learn, like learning a language. We know that learning a language is messy and it's difficult, and we don't always feel comfortable speaking the language, right? We also know probably that we are able to understand the language that we're studying a lot faster than we're able to produce it. And that's okay. That's how, again, how we learn how to do anything. I have a 6-month-old niece, and right now she's just listening and taking it all in. And eventually, so right, she's gonna do that for like a year, right? And then eventually she'll be able to start talking. So she's listened and just absorbed like a little sponge. And that's kind of how we acquire language. So we're getting ready, we're practicing, we're going to do this every day. Let's move on to the next segment. Okay, how do you get better at something? Like I just said, you practice. You cannot just go out on the field to play that soccer game without practicing. You've got to work, you've got to run, you've got to do the laps, you've got to sweat, and you've got to take risks. And I think that's the biggest thing with being a good language learner is, yes, you are going to fail. When I was in college, I studied abroad in Mexico for a semester, and I got dropped off and a little bit early. Like the family I was going to live with didn't even know I was there yet. So I had to all of a sudden solve my own problem in my second language. And boy, was that a big shock to me. But you know what? I did it. And when I returned from that 6-month experience, I was like Superwoman. I'm not going to lie to you. I could tackle anything because I had put myself in a situation that was risky and I had survived and I loved it every second of it. So I hope that you guys will get the chance to study in another country at some point. So again, sorry, off task a little bit, but back to practicing. You know, Michael Jordan did not even make his high school basketball team. So he went back home and he went back to his, gym, and he practiced and he practiced and he practiced. And then of course he became the GOAT, right? The greatest of all time. So whatever is in us to want us to pursue language learning or the sport or the dance or whatever, or the musical, just keep that goal in mind. Okay, if language learning and reaching your goals and learning to speak multiple languages is your goal, it's going to happen if you want it to happen, but you've got to practice. Okay, again, as I mentioned, setting like a semester long or year long language goal for yourself. You could even set a weekly goal for yourself. Maybe you just want to say, okay, this week I'm going to, again, try to start a conversation with someone I work with, or I'm going to watch one movie on Netflix in the target language. Or I'm going to set my phone in the target language for a week and see how I feel and reflect about it a little bit. Now, most of my students that I teach at the high school level are novice level kids. That means they're like Spanish 1 or 2 kids. And they still are able to set a language goal. And then at the end of the week, we evaluate that goal and they feel some validation that they were able to meet that goal. Or maybe if they weren't able to meet their goal, then I can help them reflect on why and what they can do to improve. So set a goal for yourself, a weekly goal. Also, I know you guys know all these cool video games. I used to play Super Mario Brothers, but when I would die playing this game, I didn't give up, right? Don't give up. Anything that we do has got, another life after it. So if I'm in a beginning level language class and my teacher calls on me and I don't know the answer, it's okay. Don't be afraid to try again. This is my screen from Candy Crush. Yes, I'm old. Did I mention that? Okay. So I don't play the cool games you guys play, but when I get to this level and I say, and the game is over, of course I want to retry because that's how we are within us. We don't want to give up. We don't like to fail, right? So yes, I want to play again. I want to push that button, start. Yes, let's do it again. And that's the greatest thing about learning a language. We're all going to make mistakes. We're not going to be perfect every single time. Like I said, I started learning language when I was 14. Okay, I'll go ahead and tell you, I'm 48 now. Okay, so it's been a while. It's been quite the journey for me, and I still make mistakes, and I'm okay with it. And I just say, gosh, I knew that, and then I move on, and it's fine. Okay, so don't forget, you've got a retry button. You've got a play again button that you can do. So hit it. Remember, you're just practicing right now. This also will lead to being able to level up. Okay, you know that terminology from video games. I know most of you probably play video games. Now again, my generation, we played Pac-Man and Galaga and Centipede and stuff like that, and Frogger. But there was always another level. And I was always trying to get to that next level. It's the same thing with learning a language. These are on the wall behind me. I mentioned this is the same picture. We all start here at the novice level and we work our way up. And it takes time, and don't get frustrated. And it happens over time. It's not just like you're not going to leave the first level of the class you're taking be, oh yeah, I'm awesome at this language. Now you might be, but it takes time to build proficiency and to build progress in your language. So maybe even plot how you do with the language. Maybe take some of the feedback that your teacher gives you and look at the proficiency level he or she said you were, if they grade you in those terms. This is what the terminology I use with my students. Okay, so you're at this level, it's called Spanish 1, but you're actually, doing really well. So I would maybe on this task, I put you at novice high, and go to your teachers and ask them, how can I level up? Give me some strategies. What are some filler words I can use? How can I make my sentences a little stronger? What can I do to improve? Ask them. And I always suggest that you keep a growth mindset. If you know anything about growth mindset, this means that you are open-minded to taking those mistakes and learning from them, instead of just saying, I wasn't born to learn a language. I'm just not gonna do that. Of course you can do it, right? We all have that capacity within us. So having a growth mindset says, no matter how many times I fail, I can still do it. I might not be able to do it yet, but I will eventually be able to get to it. So with this mindset, think of the power of yet. Can't do it yet, but I will be able to with more practice and with support and with feedback from my teacher. So I made this little visual for you to think about. I'm calling it your playbook for the next thing. You're here already at this conference. Congratulations, it's awesome, okay? I think it's like the first one of its kind, so you're pioneers for sure. Accept the challenge, accept the language challenge, and that's what you're here to do, all right? Focus on your goals, choose a few things that you really want to accomplish, put in the time. That's what it takes, is the time and the effort, and you know that, you know how to do that, you're good at doing that. Access all that you can, okay? And what I mean by that is, like I said, put your cell phone in the target language, watch movies, listen to music, reach out to others for conversation practice. You guys are all over social media. Well, search out those things in your target language, and then it just becomes second nature to you, right? Put a movie on that you've seen a million times and change the language track to your target language and just see what you understand. Or listen to music, or like I said, or again, I'm a big social media person myself, so I do a lot in Spanish because it helps keep me a little bit fresh since I'm so old. And it also reinforces things I know, and then I learn some words. So try those things, and then heaven forbid, teach someone else. Yeah, we know we learn best when we teach others how to do something. So maybe at your school, you could volunteer. Maybe you have like a National Honor Society and they ask for tutors for the language that you're teaching, or volunteer to work with a student who's struggling a little bit, because I promise you that once you have to teach another person how to do something in your language, it's going to make you a better language learner. So here's your playbook. Now we're ready for the big game. All right, we've had preseason, practices, and now the big game. Now this is really more kind of for what your teachers to see. What are you able to do and understand and produce back to us? So I put the little shark here who's demonstrating what he knows how to do, how well he knows how to do it. This is when you're demonstrating all your skills, the big game, okay? You're out there, and what are your coaches doing? They're yelling at you on the sidelines. Hey, I don't know what coaches say because they probably say some bad words. I don't want to say them now, but they're yelling at you constantly. And that's what a teacher's doing when they're giving you feedback, when they're saying, try this, do this. Okay. They're the coaches. So you're demonstrating what you know. And it's okay if you don't do that well on the big game, because you know why? Because then you go to the locker room. All athletes, what do you do in the locker room? Okay, you take a shout, right? But you talk about the game. Okay. You get the feedback from your coach. So I watch my students every day in class watching the game from the night before. And it made me think, why don't you just go to the video, right? Videotape yourself speaking the target language or interacting in the target language. Or, you know, and then, or just the audio. If you just want to put your little memo thing on your phone and just practice saying some things out loud. And then you go to the video and you listen to yourself and you say, man, that was not good. I could have said this here, or nailed it. I'm so proud of myself. Be reflective in this way and use the locker room time to go to the video per se. And reflect. Now, I have my students reflect a lot in writing, as you can see some examples here. Okay. And even if my students aren't doing well, most of them say, you know, reflecting, it's hard to look in and say, wow, I wish I didn't have to listen to myself or watch that video that I made. But that's really one of the ways we grow. And you know, every good athlete does that, or every dancer does that if you're trying to perfect a move, or just anything. You watch, that's all you do all day. You watch YouTube videos all the time. It's the same thing. Just videotape yourself. Okay, you don't have to put it on YouTube, but videotape yourselves and then learn from your own self. What a great idea. You can even use some technology. This is me. And I was using Flipgrid. I'm sure most of your teachers use this with you because it's just so awesome. So reflect in any way that speaks to you. You know, I mentioned I'm old, but sometimes I use Snapchat filters because they make your skin look really good. And I'll just record a little reflection at the end of the school day. And then when I need to go back and think about how the day went, I have a fun way to think about how the day went by the Snapchat and the cute little videos and the cat ears or whatever. But it entertains me, but else it forces me to reflect. So just find a way to reflect. And always, always, always advocate for yourself. You know, don't just wait for your teacher to come to you. Reach out to your teacher and say, what can I do? Help me know how to level up. Help me. Call an emergency meeting. Okay, everyone's playing Among Us right now. So call an emergency meeting and say, hey, I need a little bit of help. I need to know what I can do to level up my language. Okay, here's another thing. We're almost done, guys. Hang in there. Don't forget that you're not out on that stage alone or out on that field alone or on that court alone. You have a team. You have a network of people that support you in this language journey that you have so bravely decided to take. And I'm suggesting these might be your teammates, obviously your language teacher, okay? No matter what level of language you're taking, that teacher wants you to be a lifelong language learner. My high school Spanish teacher is so proud of me because I became a Spanish teacher, but he just loves to hear from his students about how they're using their language skills. So your teachers, your administrators, your guidance counselors, they're all advocates for you. Friends and family are proud of you. No one in my family can speak another language. And so the fact that I took the path of learning another language, they named me Carmen, for crying out loud. What did they expect? So it just gives them so much pride that they say, yeah, my child can speak another language. Colleges and universities are ready to bring you in and say, let us help take your language skills even farther. Study abroad. The workforce is ready to employ people that have all these amazing language skills. And you are becoming, through all this journey, part of a global society. You're part of a way bigger picture. You might be from a very small town like I am, but look what you're doing for yourselves. You are opening up such a big world for yourselves. So those are your teammates. That is your team. So the next play, guys, is up to you, okay? To put it simply. And I'm going to remind you of a few things you need to think about, okay? Don't forget to accept the challenge. You're here, you're doing it, okay? Focus on your your goals. Just kidding. It's cute though, right? So focus on your goals and think about what it is you want out of all of this experience, okay? Hopefully something life-changing. Next, put in the time. Be Rocky, eye of the tiger, okay? Dedicate the time, put in the effort, access all you can all the time. Be immersed in the language. Of course, if you get to study in another country, that helps you with the immersion experience, but you can build those experiences for yourself. Maybe you and some friends feel kind of the same way about learning this language, and you could set up a little group and do it together. That is even better. Access all that you can all the time. Teach someone else, okay? Because again, that's gonna help bring home those concepts, the idea. Then you begin to share your passion for language learning with others, and that might get them psyched up about doing the same thing you're doing, okay? But for now, guys, all I'm gonna say is it's game on. I'm so proud of you. I don't even know you, but I'm proud of you because as teachers, we just wanna create lifelong language learners. You've started the journey, you've accepted the challenge just by being here, and I know what you have in store for you is just amazing. So keep that in mind. Remember what it was like when you finally took those training wheels off and you were able to just go down that path by yourself on that bike. You were so much more independent, and that's eventually how you're going to be with your language skills. It's going to take you far in college. It's going to take you far with your job. Maybe you'll join the Peace Corps. You'll give back to your community. You'll be able to assist someone. It just opens up so much that maybe you never thought about before. So I'm excited for you. I wish you well. I wish I could say keep in touch, but I guess I don't know how to do that. So just know that you've got people that don't even know you that are advocating for you and are so proud of you. So game on, let's make it happen. And I'd like to thank you so much. It's been my pleasure to share a little bit about what I do every day and how I just believe in my students and believe in yourselves and go out there and do it. Thank you. Take care. Stay well.